Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors in Winston, Chester. I'm glad to be here this morning. Glad to be back. Appreciate all the viewership we've had. So let's get started with our weather brought to us by Hayden Technical Center. High today is 77, low 53, water temperature 72. The Apalachicola River, our river is brought to us by Sandhill Seafood. A great time for fresh seafood up there, right north Bozeman School. We're looking at 7 foot around Apalachicola and Choctawhatchee at about 8 foot. And we'll tomorrow we'll give you the lowdown on what's going to happen for the weekend. But got a good weekend coming up as far as weather-wise. The tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Long. We have a low tide at 6:22 this morning, coming in all day to about 9:24 tonight. So good situation there. Our wind will be coming west-southwest at about 5 to 10. I'm going to do real short weather, but let's talk about the water temperature real quick. We got a water temperature actually at 72 degrees. That's incredible that it went up that fast, that quick. And we'll talk about it again, how that has affected our saltwater fisheries and our freshwater fishing. So I got a good guest here, so we're going to do a short weather, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, and welcome to our guest this morning. We've been telling you he's going to be coming on about a week and a half, and here he is, Chris Paxton.
Hey,
good morning.
Glad to be back.
We're glad
Good
to have
see
you.
everyone this morning.
Been on the show before. The regional fishery biologist in charge at the FWC, have about 16 counties.
All 16 counties of the Panhandle, our northwest region.
That's a big area.
It's a lot to do.
Well, okay, so mainly you just do a little bit of in the field some, you're in the office some, you're on the road some.
Exactly.
So you're just doing all kinds of things.
All kinds of things.
And it's so much fun to have them as old fishing buddy. We're going to talk about old Bear later on. they sent me some pictures not too long ago. They tore the fish up, but we'll get to that. He's got some inside scoop, though, because he's a fishing biologist. Where'd you get your degree?
At the University of Tennessee, Knoxville.
Tennessee? Okay. I remember that.
Do I have to leave now?
Yeah, we'll finish the show by myself. No, that's good. All right, well, listen, you sent me some pictures last night. We've got some exciting things going on, and so let's. I'm gonna let you do some talking.
Okay, this morning I'd like to tell our anglers and viewers out there about some exciting things we have, restoration efforts that are going on here in our region on the resources. One of the first ones I want to talk about is down on the St. Joe Peninsula at Cape San Blas. It's the Rish Park Pond, and that's for Rish Park is a facility that's with people with disabilities. And for a long time, there's been they have property on the Gulf side and they have property over on the Bay side. And long ago, there was a fishing pond in there, and recently, Rish Park and that facility was turned over to DEP, and so it wasn't privatized and privately owned, so we could then get involved in it with tax dollars and things like that. So we're partnering with the Agency for Persons with Disabilities, DEP, Victor Rowland down there at Rish Park, and he's the project manager down there at Rish, and we're really excited because we wanted to renovate that pond. And we have a lot of things in the agency, hunts for wounded warriors, a lot of great things. And we want to try to do as many of these things for our young anglers and people with disabilities as we can and get them out there fishing. So we have a couple pictures, and I can show you what we were up against as we begin with.
We're talking about before pictures now. Wow.
So this is looking north. This thing's looking north up the pond. And as you can see, just through years of not being used, cattails got established, things like that. And so we've got about counting engineering, there's about $180,000 we've spent. And we've got, I think, a picture of this is construction going on. And they built a berm across the pond, and they would pump one side to the other, and then they would begin digging the cattails out. Even with the vegetation was in there, and surprisingly it had a pretty hard bottom. And there were several, quite a few fish in there that were still hanging on. But it was just, impassable. There was no way you could get in there with herbicides and do anything, so it had to be completely dug out and start over again. And as of last week, we did our last walkthrough there with the engineers to sign off on it, and we have where we are today. This is the This is the same view looking north. This is the same view of the pond with the cattails in it. We saw first looking north.
Wow, what a transformation.
And they're going to build paths that'll be wheelchair accessible, everything around the pond. They've already put about $2.2 million in a boardwalk down there. It's going to be really impressive. And the difference is now anyone that has a child, a family member with a disability can stop in there, see Victor, register at the main office there, and use all their facilities. So we're really excited about partnering. We still have aeration systems and fish feeders, and of course we'll do a stocking program.
So you're all going to stock it. Now, when y'all started clearing out, what all kind of fish were in there?
There were some small bass in there. Primarily, we saw a lot of bluegill, things like that. That were just hanging on. Not a lot of fish, but
it's going to. When are you going to restock it with?
We'll probably start with catfish to see how we can do with use feeders and get some supplemental feed in there. Get them up to a good pound harvestable size. Then we'll come in with bass and bluegill after that.
Awesome.
Try to create an opportunity for someone or a child that's maybe never caught a fish.
Oh yeah,
So.
well, what a great opportunity.
And we're looking for probably a big ribbon cutting ceremony with everyone involved toward later in the summer. So definitely be a great story and get you down there.
Well, we'll stay on top of this and all. I'm so excited. We have so many outdoorsmen who have challenges and all. Michael Harris is going to be a good place for you to go. Billy Lessig, buddies of mine in wheelchairs. I guarantee you they'll be down there catching some of those catfish pretty soon.
Yeah.
And that's an awesome thing y'all did right there.
Yeah, so we'll keep you involved in that. We definitely want to get you down there and get that ribbon cutting.
Yeah, and that's and later on they got more plans later on for Rich Park. I had the opportunity to work there for about 3 years and for just a little part-time job as a lifeguard. I just fell in love with the place. Here's the deal, and talking about Americans with having the vision to buy that property. And for those physically challenged people years ago. They couldn't afford it. The state couldn't afford it now.
Yeah.
But somebody had a vision years ago to buy that. It goes from the Gulf to the Bay. And awesome that we take care of it like that. We're going to take a quick break, come back with a lot more pictures. Okay, welcome back. Glad you're with us this morning here with Chris Paxton, Regional Fish Biologist with the FWC, and we got a big responsibility, a big area to cover.
Yes. Yeah, well, we're going to continue on. We've been talking a little bit this morning about some of the habitat restorations for fisheries and some of our area resources here in the Northwest region. And the next one I want to talk about is at Carrick Lake. My lead biologist over that in the western part of the Panhandle is Neil Branson. And as you may know, we have 6 commission-managed impoundments through our region, the Northwest region. They go from Walton County, which is Juniper, Victor, Lake Victor's, and Holmes. We have 3 in the Blackwater River State Forest. We have Carrick, Hurricane, and Bear. Carrick and Hurricane are in Okaloosa. Bear's in Santa Rosa, and the last one in the far western part of it is in Escambia County, which is Lake Stone. And we began a program these lakes were built in the mid-'60s up to 1970 with appropriations from the Florida legislature to create fishing opportunities in the western part of the Panhandle. And so we began with Carrick, Lake Carrick. It's 65 acres. It's in the Blackwater River State Forest in Okaloosa County. And we began with it just on size and expense. Now these are, there's a lot involved in these full lake restorations. They can be very, very expensive. We have to ask for a legislative budget request from the Florida legislature to get the money to do it. This one, Carrick, we began with it 65 acres. It's the smallest in size, so we wanted to see what the money we had available we could do. And we have some pictures now. I think here's.
Okay, so there it is here.
This is Carrick Lake. You can see the old pier in here. This is 65 acres. We have the pier will be replaced. Of course, one of the most enormous costs with any kind of renovation or lake is restoration is removal of the muck layer that's settled over decades in the bottom of the lake.
How thick would that be?
See, there's the challenge. You have to come in and do core samples to find, and if you can, there's areas in it out in the flooded timber part that you can spend all of your money digging in that one place and never get to the bottom of it.
Oh my goodness.
So we try to focus in the littoral areas. Now here's another good picture. They'll have the big concrete structures that are the drawdown structures. They'll be completely renovated. New hardware, steel, screws, gates, everything to control the water levels again. We'll install. We have about 200 mossback fish attractors. We'll install gravel beds. For spawning.
So yeah, so you're getting rid of all the stumps and all that, and then putting these.
We'll have some of that. Now, some of the timber that's out toward the middle of the lake, there's actual trees. We'll leave those in place. And the upper littoral area or the shallow area where spawning will occur, that's where we'll focus.
Okay.
And we'll there's a new pier that's going in. We've got about $150,000 in the pier. This one right now is budgeted for $750,000, but with engineering, we're going to push $1 million on it. Wow. So you can see they're very expensive to do, and this is the smallest one.
Yeah.
And of course, they're in the Blackwater River State Forest. The forest has been nice enough to let us have 8 acres of land in a borrow pit acre.
Okay.
And that's where the muck we do remove, we'll put it.
Okay.
So as you get to something like Juniper that's in Walton County that's 600 acres, you need a lot of space and a lot of.
Would that be one of your next projects coming on
Well,
later?
probably right now we're working also on Hurricane that's in the Blackwater. I think we have some pictures of that. Hurricane hasn't been dewatered. It's 318 acres. It's also in Okaloosa County. There's a good picture right there.
Okay.
We've just spent about $78,000 contracting out spawning beds, gravel beds.
That's all gravel in there?
That's all gravel. We'll come in and we put them. Neil has selected specific places around the lake, and he oversees these projects in the field. And they'll come in, we contract this work out, and this is to improve spawning, to improve year class strength. We still continue to stock, add forage, things like that, but the whole name of the game is if you can get it, doing it itself. Then
that's interesting. That's interesting. Now, how big would the gravel be? Is it sort of small?
Yeah, it's like a pea gravel kind of thing.
Fan
They want to fan it out, and they have to have really clean gravel. And it has to be in, where you can get good light penetration to it. And, over time, in the past decades, there have been gravel installed, things like that, but, siltation, everything. And the only way to, as a manager, your best tool for, impoundments, whether it's Deer Point or whether it's something 65 acres, is to fluctuate the water level. All we're trying to do is imitate what Mother Nature does in the floodplain. Now, it comes down in the summer, floods up in the spring. The fish use that. The flooded littoral areas up there, for spawning and and for nursery areas, we try to mimic the same thing. But sometimes it's really hard to get the funding and all the planets aligned to get these things drawn down. And hey, while you're doing it, they have campgrounds there. People recreate here. The reason they're coming is they enjoy the lake, and you're drying their lake up for a while.
Now, most of these lakes, do they have some underground streams coming
they're,
to them?
They're impounded streams with earthen dams. Is what
cool.
That's exactly what they are.
And so, how long do you think will restoration like this last?
Well, we should. Where we are now with Hurricane is finished. The gravel bed installation on finished. We just signed off Friday. We were talking earlier in the show about Rish Park. Yeah. We just did our final walkthrough with the engineers and the contractors there. Our part of that is finished. Carrick, we've had the formal bids out. These projects, there's a whole bidding system with this amount of money on the table that goes out to the private sector. And once the bid's awarded, they'll come in and the actual construction phase will be finished before June, but end of June.
Oh, cool.
So then we'll refill, restock, start over again.
That's cool. We're covering with Rish Park, our eastern end view in the area, then over in Walton County, the western end and all, and it's just a big area you got to cover.
It's we go from the all the way from the end of Jefferson County at the Osceola River all the way to the Perdido.
Oh, wow.
On the western side of Escambia County, to the Alabama line.
That
everything
cool.
In between.
And we're going to talk about we're going to take a break in a second and come back and talk about the Deer Point
Yeah, we'll touch on the drawdown. I want to do that.
Touch on that. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Glad you're with us here with Chris Paxton. Let's take a look at our fishing game forecast today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers down at Port St. Joe. Looking on our times there, we're looking at 10:48 to 12:48, right in the middle of the day. And this evening from 11:15 to 1:16, most of y'all will be asleep then, but middle of the day, just tell your boss you want to go fishing. And,
Absolutely.
And you're a fish biologist. You don't fish, feed at different times.
Oh, sure.
They just, that's
Feed all the time.
scientific fact, right?
That's not me just making it up.
Okay. Old timers say it and the scientists say it. All right, let's take a look at this picture here. This looks familiar.
Yeah, this is, of course, this time of year, a lot of people have questions about the drawdown, the Deer Point drawdown. And this is a picture that was taken this past fall, past September, when we conduct our vegetation transects. And how the drawdown works is there's always been confusion about that from homeowners, and how that works, who does it. We make a recommendation. The reservoir is actually a county utility, Deer Point Reservoir. So Bay County Utilities can actually control the drawdown. We make a recommendation to Bay County based on the total percent coverage of vegetation in the reservoir. And since there was, we get all kinds of calls, what's happening, what's really happening. And so this year we decided to take the press with us out on the lake, and any of the homeowners that wanted to go, and we took them out actually with us, and they took this shot. Actually, this is how we'll put out these 100-meter, as you can see the tape they're holding, it's a rope that's anchored, and they'll go through, and every meter they take a sample of what kind of plant, and then we have 6 of those around, I believe, around the reservoir, and then we can estimate a total percent coverage.
Right.
And once we exceed a certain percentage, over 65%, I think, is the real red flag trigger.
Okay.
And we were up into the 70s again.
Okay.
So last year we had a really successful one. We saw great improvement. Give a shout out to Bobby and Trevor and Ben over there at Bay County Utilities. About a year before last, they modernized their whole system. So instead, where they were sending people out to control the gate and things, they can do that by following with a computer and touch of a button now.
Okay.
So it's really amazing technology that they have, and because of that, they're really able to monitor our winter tides on the bay side. You got to remember, when that thing's drawn down, there's only about 1 meter or about 3 feet of difference between the bay and the actual lake. So if you get a really strong winter tide and the wind blowing the right, you can blow it right back through. That's just a weir dam, blow it right back through into the lake, and then you have saltwater intrusion. The water has to be treated different to desalinate it.
Yeah.
So that's a very big expense. So they have to, but because of this system, they can monitor that. And you may have noticed in last year's drawdown where they were able to take it down an additional 6 to 8 inches in the last part of it. And it hasn't been that far down in a long time, and it's because of how well that they manipulate and they control and watch these levels. So
now this cold, we've had some really cold weather this winter.
Really cold weather.
We should have had a good result.
And I think that'll help really in the because it's like anything. Most of the vascular tissue in those plants is water. So if you get a freeze, and that's sort of the idea that the magic of it is a freeze. If you can get a longer period, and we've gone to these 100-day drawdowns, which I recommended to the county that I think works a lot better. You get a longer window, and if you get a lot of cool weather and you get a long extended drying period, that can be just as effective as the brief super cold. But if you get both, which like we had, and you get 4 or 5 days of those 20-degree days in there with all the stuff that's exposed, that'll get those plants for sure. But the problem is, anything, if you get rain, any of it that's kept wet, water's a great insulator. The root, it may kill the top of the plant, but the root wad that's, so we got, with the hard cold we had, we've got those for sure. The drawdown, again, we're coming up to the end of it. We target a 100-day window from November 1st to March 1st.
Okay.
So we're coming right up there to the end of it. So
all
we
right.
should be right on top.
We're in good shape. Thank y'all for working on that. Now, you mentioned about a crappie survey you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, if right now that we're looking at one of the things that one of my other regional biologists is leading up, Nicole Balk, just like in baseball, BLK, Balk. She's been on the show before with
Yes,
you,
she
with
has.
Katie Woodside. Katie's also, you may remember Katie, she's our regional project leader for the Panhandle. And Nicole's heading up for our region Black Crappie Management Survey. We've got a survey out. It's at all the local haunts and spots. You know, it's at C&G, it's at Big Bucks. If you haven't filled one out, you know, stop by one of your favorite tackle places or local spots, and they have them. If not, come see Nicole at the Deer Point Regional Office up here. She'll set you up with one. If you fish Talquin, the crappie fishery in Talquin's probably our premier one in this part of the state. Go to Ingram's, they have them.
Okay.
They'll set you up there with one.
And just fill out a form and all that.
Fill it out. It's already, all you got to do is fill it out and drop it. It's already self-addressed, postage, everything. It'll come back to us.
Yeah, I may get
Really
Nicole back on
appreciate
here
it.
pretty soon to talk about that.
When the results start coming in, I think that would be
cool.
great to get her back in.
Real quick, people, these small ponds and all. I had a lot of folks out, a lot of viewers with the small ponds. Quick advice as a biologist.
On the small ponds, if you have a way to, in any of the small ponds, if you can put in some kind of aeration system, some kind of way to move the water from the bottom of the pond, just like you do in your aquarium at home, move the water from the bottom of the pond to the surface of the pond and get that circulation. If you have a way to control the water level of your pond, don't be worried about taking it down, not all the way, but a foot or two during the wintertime. Expose that shoreline area where fish spawn to the cold weather, get some terrestrial plants growing on it, then let it fill back up. But one of the key things that you can do is get some kind of fountain, some kind of aeration system in your pond, and that'll solve so many of your problems, especially through the heat of the summer.
Yeah. And you want to, like you say, mimic nature and all. So that's why in the wintertime you let it down a little bit.
Sure. That's if you have, a lot of people they'll dig out a borrow pit or something to build up land, but and they don't have that kind of. So right there for you, if that's your situation, an aeration system is a big must. If you can do it.
Well, we got a lot more stuff to go, but we just run out of time.
Well, I can talk till we miss the Spanish mackerel run and pompano season. You'll just have to go cut him off.
Thank you so much. Good job.
It's good to see you. Good to see you.
All right,
Thank you,
folks. Thank y'all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. Always do something good for your fellow man today. You have a great day. Enjoy the great outdoors. God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.